I'm curious how you think that some of the major technologies in the current AI wave, such as ChatGPT, how well they or how much they qualify as intelligent.
It seems that the models are able to be intelligent at a certain time scale and certain contexts where humans are not intelligent and others where they are. And one of the issues with the present approaches is that the systems that we deploy, they make basically, they hallucinate. And it's also arguably a property of our human mind that we hallucinate. I suspect that I have a basically hallucination ability in my brain that is always on. But I have a critic on the other side that is cutting down these hallucinations and, for instance, test them against sensory data. And when the hallucinations of my visual system are not predicting my visual data very well, they basically get pruned, and only those that are predictive are continued. But when I dissociate from my sensory inputs, for instance at night when I sleep, I don't have sensory input anymore, but these visual modeling area is still active. It's going to produce continuations of its present state, and these play out as dreams. Right? So they're basically free-running hallucinations. And in many ways, you could argue that what the LLM is producing when it just continues text, it does something very similar. And people find this very problematic because when you train a model on the internet, and you don't train it on being always factually correct, but you train it on producing text like on the internet, it can give you Wikipedia articles about non-existing people. Right? And so that's a big problem when you are trying to use it in a context where you try to replace Wikipedia with your LLM instead of getting ideas for writing a new Wikipedia article for a new non-existing topic. Right? And so maybe this is a task where we have to communicate clearly that the LLM is actually not comparable to a human brain in its ability to reason and give you truthful information, but it's somewhat comparable to a human brain in the ability to come up with new ideas. But it cannot test these ideas because it is doing this mostly in a one-shot form, in the same way as you are producing one association and without rehearsing this association, spelling it out as text. Right? Normally, when you are trying to solve a problem or develop a philosophical idea, you're not going to use that intuition as your final output. You're going to go back and criticize this intuition, look for all the loopholes that you've seen and so on, and prune it and get it down to something that works, and it's an iterative process that doesn't go once, but it's a back and forth. And so this is missing in these present approaches. And a lot of people in the AI companies which work on building that. And in the meantime, what they are doing is they fine-tune these models to be less creative. So they prune their output preemptively by training them on stuff that is basically proven or reliable, and they penalize them for producing stuff that looks unreliable. And as a result, they tend to produce more stuff that looks more reliable and more authoritative, which arguably I think is even more problematic. Because now it looks as if it was authoritative, but it is now basically just emulating a person who understands.
So you really can't tell if it's a Wikipedia article, a fake Wikipedia article.
Yeah, or an opinion piece by a journalist who just has an opinion and is only socially motivated. Right? So it's basically, it's now, some people disparage social sciences as the soft sciences because you get away with saying stuff that doesn't need to replicate, because the criteria for whether this is publishable are depending on your community, on the social acclaim that you get by publishing it. Right? So there is no hard and fast analytical criterion or empirical criterion that determines whether what you are saying is true or not. It's entirely a social criterion. And in a way, the LLM is, when you don't mitigate it, operating like this. And if you make it sound more authoritative, it's infuriating to try to get this thing to be creative again, because now it is both wrong and stubborn in insisting on not being creative. Right? So that for me is a big issue, especially when you, for instance, take an LLM and you ask it an interesting philosophical question that philosophers don't have a consensus answer for. And that thing is trying to emulate a non-existing consensus.